Hi, and welcome to another TPF podcast. My name is Kris Simonich, and I'm here with my partner, Andrea Floyd. And on this podcast, we try to deconstruct some of the best practices from our industry's top performers. And when I say top performers, I'm talking about our guest today, Marcos Moura, co-owner of Amada Senior Care Franchise. Marcos, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. And Marcos is always fun, so I'm sure this will be an entertaining podcast if I had to guess.
Oh, yes. It will be great. You guys just wait.
So Marcos, start us back. How did Amada come to be? You and your business partner created it. Give us a little bit of that backstory.
Yeah, so actually, I didn't create it at all. Amada has a very similar story to most franchises out there. There's two founders here in Orange County, California, that started Amada Senior Care back in 2008. It was Tafa Jefferson and Chad Fotheringham. Hey, look, did you guys see that?
Yeah,
Do you guys
look
see
at
that?
that thumbs up.
I wonder
Wow.
how that was really cool. Did you guys set me up for that?
We did
Kris, is
not,
that
I'm
your
sorry.
magic?
No.
Just
So,
happened.
I know. So Chad and Tafa started Amada Senior Care back in 2008, and they were so Tafa was a center for the Chicago Bears. I once introduced him as the center for the Chicago Cubs because I don't really follow sports, and that was wrong. So he was the center for the Chicago Bears, and Chad had been his quarterback in college. So it's a really cool story, right? They separate after college. One goes to the NFL, the other one goes to Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. 2008, they meet up. And Tafa had a nurse registry. Chad was at Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. And Chad's kind of like, I'm sick of my job. I've always been entrepreneurial. Tafa goes, dude, I would love to partner with you. It'd be like the old days of college, right? I'm the center. You're the quarterback. Let's start Amada Senior Care. 2008, they decided to start Amada Senior Care. Now, think about what was happening in 2008. It was a Great Recession, right?
Yeah.
I was losing my shorts in 2008. I was a mortgage broker. And I like telling this story because in 2008, Chad and Tafa start Amada Senior Care, and they just they grow like a rocket. It was as if the recession didn't even exist. It was no big deal to them.
Well,
Me, on the other hand, I was a mortgage broker. I was in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it was like an epic failure of just epic proportions. So I get into franchising. But so that's kind of the two converging paths, kind of like the multiverse, like the Disney multiverse. And so Chad and Tafa are growing Amada Senior Care in Orange County all the way until 2012. So me and my brother-in-law, we are going franchising kind of in the same path. But in 2012, Chad and Tafa, who we met through church, they come to my brother-in-law actually, and they say, hey, you're in franchising. My brother-in-law says, yeah, we are. And they say, I've got this guy that wants to open a franchise of Amada Senior Care in Washington. Can you help us out? And that's how the franchise part of it starts. Chad and Tafa, the two buddies, me and my brother-in-law, we partner, and we help the very first franchisee of Amada Senior Care get started. And that person is Robert Christensen in Washington. He was actually a Pfizer guy. So you think about Chad had been a Pfizer guy. He leaves, starts Amada Senior Care, has this epic success in Orange County. His buddy calls and says, dude, I just got fired from Pfizer. I want to start an Amada. And actually, the first time that they talked to Robert, they said, well, you can't start an Amada. And Rob goes, well, start a franchise. I'll buy it and let's get going. And so we start the Amada franchise. We bring Robert Christensen on, and Robert is our very first franchisee in 2012. And so a couple of things I love about the story is it obviously is grown. Amada's grown during one of the greatest recessions of our lifetime, probably the biggest recession of our lifetime, and it just crushes it. Our very first franchisee was a friend of ours who then became extremely successful, is still one of our franchise partners, has renewed his agreements. He owns multiple territories for another 10 years. He's actually here in town. His kids, who were little when he first started the business, are now opening in Idaho. Isn't that cool? So Robert, our very first franchise partner, has his daughter and son-in-law in training to open Idaho. It's just so cool, you know?
It's great. And I think what I like about doing this podcast and interviewing people like you, when we hear these stories, I think our clients really need to hear there's people out there doing jobs like that. I was a pharmacist, so I know that world, that biopharma world,
Oh
that
yeah,
healthy
yeah.
owner as well as your first franchisee was in. You don't think there's anything outside of that. There's lots of opportunities outside of that if you're open to it. Starting a business is a really great opportunity, and that's what franchising gives you. So I just really like that story and tying that together so people can really see that just because you have one career path, even if it's good, if you want to get out of it, there's other options out there. It's great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's
And you know, what's funny about this too is I even think that Amada is not for everybody. And I
yeah.
like saying that because I think it's silly for you to think that you are the right driver for any vehicle. Like, you know, put me in a Ferrari and I'm going to crash that thing.
Mm.
You know, I do,
Yep.
or you know, put me in a tricycle. I don't know. Like when you put the right driver in the right vehicle, that's when the magic happens. And sometimes the vehicle that is right for you, you've never even heard of. You have never even heard of until you get with somebody that's really going to walk you through. That could be a Mata. It could be like a nail salon. It could be a roofing company. It could be all kinds of things. And as an entrepreneur, I think you got to keep you got to keep your mind open to those options. And that's your job, right? Is to find that right opportunity. Anyone could be successful in Amada if they worked ridiculously hard, but the right person is going to have a much faster path to success. And that's what we really focus on, right? Is finding the right person. And so our whole process is really working with that person, being very honest with them about, hey, are you really the right fit for Amada Senior Care? And we're super honest about it with love, right? With love, we want it. We want that to be successful, and maybe that's part of the fact that several of the franchisees of Amada Senior Care were previous friends of ours, of all the founders and co-owners. Like several of our friends came into it, and we'd be mortified if they came in and crashed and burned, right? And we had to go talk to their spouses. Oh, sorry, they failed. You know, like we was a lot of pressure. We want to be successful. So we still have that today. We still hold that today, that this is one of our best friends that's coming in. Are they going to be successful, right? Am I going to be able to go to the poker night? Or actually, I've never been in a poker night. I don't know why I said that. Am I going to be able to go to the categories party later that night? And the Star Wars movie viewing, and we're still going to be buddies, right? So we take it pretty seriously.
That's
Yeah.
great.
You know, Marcus, one of the things you mentioned, so everybody, well, not everybody, the two founders were doing well back when everybody else was doing poorly, right? You were
Yeah.
struggling in '08 and they were part of that. A large part of that is because the senior care industry is an industry unlike just about anything else from what I can tell. In fact, I'll tell you, I've been in franchising for 20 years. And after I'd been in the industry for 2, 3, 4 years, I saw these senior care franchises where this is like 2006, 2007. They were growing so successfully that I said, well, surely this is the peak. And, you know, it's got to come down from here. And 15 years later, it's still growing like that. So
Yeah.
talk to us about just the industry as a whole, what you're seeing and how senior care is it's an industry different than just about anything else, any other franchise we work with.
Yeah, you know, the thing I was thinking about the other day is I have several friends that got into like the cookie craze, people that I know, um, and uh, and that can be great, right? But you think about when you open a restaurant and you think about all the people you've served, and the thought of like, well, you know, are people going to want cupcakes all the time? You know, if they've eaten cupcakes for 6 months, will they want more cupcakes after that? And I don't know what the answer to that is. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But think about senior care in a way of when you open your doors on a Monday, and if you get 100 people to be your clients on that Monday in your market on Monday, on Tuesday, you're going to wake up and there's going to be another 1,000 people who are going to need senior care. I don't care how many you served on Monday. On Wednesday, you're going to wake up and there's going to be another 1,500 people. It's a weird thing that it doesn't go down. The need doesn't go down because you've served enough or because people got tired of it or because there's another cookie play or another this that open. No, every day it resets. It's like Groundhog Day, like every day. But the Groundhog Day, imagine that there's even more people the next day and even more people the next day. Because every single day in this country, there's more people who are over the age of 65. And every single day in this country, there's more of them who need care. It doesn't matter how many needed care yesterday. So it's just a strange business that way.
Okay.
And what it also means that I don't care how many home care companies you have in your market. So a lot of people they call and they say, well, but I'm in Wichita, Kansas. I'm like, okay. And they go, I Googled it and there's like 50 home care companies in Wichita. It's probably not that way in Orange County. I'm like, no, man, I Googled it and there's 200 in Orange County. Like, really? Well, I don't think it's saturated. It doesn't. That's the other thing that doesn't matter, which is very strange as well. That it really has not. I don't care what market it could be. We're not in Alaska, so I won't say that. It could be Washington. It could be New York. It could be Florida. It could be Wichita, Kansas. It could be Colorado Springs. It doesn't matter where we open. How many competitors in the market does not matter to the success of that franchise partner. And I'll tell you, here in Orange County, we've been here since 2008. We still run a home Orange County business. We're one of the largest home care companies of Orange County. And yet we have competitors here that we've been competing against who do like $20 million, $10 million, $5 million in gross billings, and they have zero effect on our ability to continue to grow. Because and we've only been in Orange County. We've never even been to San Diego. We have a franchise partner in San Diego. We have a franchise partner in LA. It's crazy. It is just the most ridiculous industry that way. It just doesn't stop.
So, I mean, those are really great points of why it's such an important industry. And so there's so many competitors out there. You mentioned then you're at 50, 200 competitors. How's Amada different than those competitors?
Yeah. So the differentiation between all these companies is like a few degrees. If you had a circle of all these competitors that I can make, there'd be a degree here, a degree there, a degree here, a degree there. And it's not very different. So that's why the conversation of the vehicle is so important. If you're looking at home care, straight up, if you're looking at home care, you could probably be successful with a lot of these companies. Your job then is to find which of these companies is the best vehicle for you, which one is going to fit you the best. Our differentiation is that we focus a lot more on the payer sources than on the fluff. Here's what that means. If you need a caregiver today for your mom, and let's say that mom needs 24/7 care. Hey, you guys might know this, but what do you think is the cost, monthly cost, to have a caregiver in your home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And you're in Mississippi, which that like stereotypically that might be cheaper than California. You're in Mississippi. 24/7, you're going to pay the bill for mom to have care. How much do you think it is a month? Is it A, 10 grand? Is it B, 50 grand? Is it C, 25 grand? Is it D, all of the above? I don't even remember all the numbers I put out.
Yeah, either do I. You went too fast.
I went too fast.
would have
How much
guessed.
is it?
You're saying per month?
Yeah, per month. What do you think? What do you think you have to pay per month?
Oh, I was going to say 10, but now you have all these higher numbers. So
Yeah,
I
I don't think it's more than 10. It can't be more than 10. Who can afford that?
Can't be more than 10. I mean, come on, that's
No.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's 25 to 30 grand a month.
Wow.
25 to 30 grand a month. I don't care where you are in the United States. And it's not just with Amada. Any company, if you need 24/7, 25 to 30 grand a month.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and what I love about this interaction we just had is that it doesn't matter who you are. You have no idea what's coming at you. When you need to take care of mom, it is this like, it's shock after shock after shock after shock. It's not just about how expensive it is. It's all these other things about how to pay, who to pay, does the government pay, does it not pay? And so it's chaos, right? It is just nuts. And so think about a company that just sits down with you and you say, well, it's gonna be 25 grand a month. And they go, what? And you go, but don't worry. Our caregivers love more than anyone has ever loved. Oh, our caregivers are so loving. They do the Bill Clinton, like, it's like, dude, that's not the problem. There's a lot of loving caregivers. And I'll tell you something,
Yeah.
our caregivers also work for our competitors. There is no such thing. And I wish that like the whole United States could hear this. There's no such thing as a company that has a monopoly on love. Amada doesn't love you more than the competitor because the caregivers are all the same.
Yeah.
Do we have great caregivers? Yes. Do our caregivers loving? Yes. Do we do background checks? Do we hire the best? Yes. But so do our competitors. What we do is when we sit down with the family, we are going to go through every single way to get a hold of that 25 grand. We're like stormtroopers. Those are bad guys. We're like, who are the good guys? We're like Navy SEALs. We go in and we're going to figure out every possible way. If mom was a veteran, if they have any cash in any vehicle, any government, any opportunity to be able to supplement it, and we're not just going to find it and go, oh, there's money over here, go get it. We are going to file the claims for them. We're going to advocate for them. We will find the attorney that will go take care, because a lot of times with these insurance companies that pay for this, the insurance companies don't want to pay. You actually have to go after an attorney, go get it. And it's worth paying an attorney money to get the hundreds of thousands of dollars that could be there to pay for mom. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars that could be in some insurance policies to pay for this. And if they don't have an advocate, if it's just some loving company I was raised by my grandma, it's like, that's nice, buddy, but we need to find the money. That's what this industry really is about. And we have really become one of the only companies in the United States that focuses on finding you that money and being your advocate to be able to find it. I know I've gone long, but for example, we are the providers of home care for the NFL. The National Football League sends their players to us because the players themselves, as much money as they may have, are just getting screwed by all the money they've put away in different vehicles. They're not able to access it. And so the players are like, hey, NFL, we need help. So when they went out to market, they partnered with us. Every player, when we sit down with them, we go through all the ways that they can find the money to be able to pay. Then these are folks that have done well for themselves, and even they need that help. That's our differentiator. We teach our franchisees how to advocate for their clients.
Yeah. That sounds absolutely like the key, right? Because
Yeah.
I want my caregiver to love my mom, but I want the cheapest love I can get, right? The most inexpensive love, right?
Yeah, well,
Uh,
not the most. It's going to still be expensive, but I want to know that I've toned every stone to find the money to pay for it.
right.
Right? That I
Right.
found that I'm able to find the money for it, and that's it. That's actually the interesting about your comment is that there is cheaper. There is cheaper, but the problem is cheaper usually is under the table. Cheaper is under the table. We know immediately when we say 25 grand and the family goes, I just spoke to a company and it's $19,000. You immediately know what they're going to do is they're going to find somebody that is not an employee. They're going to put that person in your mom's house and they are not going to be the employer. Think about that. That means that person in your mom's house does not have workers' comp, does not have any security whatsoever. In fact, that person could just decide to be a squatter in your mom's house and not leave. And that company has no ability to kick him out. That person could, so here's what happens, and this happens all the time. When you have a 1099 contractor going to your home, and that person then, the family goes, we don't need you anymore. And they go file for unemployment. That caregiver goes file for unemployment. Who do you think has to pay the unemployment bill? The family.
Huh?
The
Yeah.
family is the employer. And so we have all these cases throughout the country where caregivers have filed for unemployment, which is tens of thousands of dollars in unemployment, right? They can last for a very long time. And the family gets a letter from from the unemployment department of the state and they try to forward it to the company that brought them the caregiver, and the company goes, you're the employer, not me. I just found them. I was just a dating service. They're dating services. I was just a dating service. I found you, Susie or Bobby. You're the employer. Families don't know that, right? And so there's this huge education of why it's 25 and why it's not 19. But we do that with love. If the family goes, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go with that. We go, then please make sure that you get workers' comp. Please make sure that you get with your homeowner's insurance and make sure that you have coverage if they get hurt. We still educate them. And maybe they have to do that, but you have to educate.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. You used the car analogy, so I'll continue with that. For Amada or for a senior care franchise in general, who is the right driver? What do they need to
Yeah.
have to do well?
So 80% of the business, if you're good at this, and do not let some company lie to you. If you're going to be good at this, 80% of the business is going to come from your local relationships with hospitals, skilled nursings, insurance agencies, financial planners, reverse mortgage people, wealth managers, the doctor. How do you get that? You got to go get it. You got to go and get it. It doesn't have to be you. There's going to have to be a sales team or some human being, not some AI something, not a Facebook ad, that's going to go get the business. 80% of that is going to be that way. 20% of the business we see right now is coming from Google pay-per-click, Facebook, lead generation, all kinds of stuff. But 80% of it is going to have to be grabbed from these referral sources. So you should be an entrepreneur that we are going to help you, that's going to craft a plan of how are you going to go infiltrate your local market. And then we'll help you do the digital marketing and all that stuff. That's not rocket surgery, as my uncle would say. It's really easy to do. But the 80%, you're going to have to go get it. So we see people who, if they're going to be the one who's going to go get it, they're super tenacious, right? They're not salespeople necessarily. If they have sales background, great, but they don't have to be, because it's not it's not a car sales thing. It's really a relationship that you're building. So you have to be able to be good at building those relationships, not just good, but you need to enjoy doing it. Or you're going to hire great people who are going to go out there and build those relationships. Hey, and we know what we're talking about. And this is a little braggy, but this year we'll do about $230 million in gross billings in the United States. $230 million in gross billings. Of that, 80% of it is coming from relationship building, 20% through like digital marketing. So if you come to Amada and you go, but I'm going to do it different. I'm going to do 100% digital marketing and I'm not going to go out and sell. Go open some other franchise. That's okay, right? There's so many franchises out there that will allow you to do that. That's not our business. That's the secret. You got to be good at doing that. And when you are, talk about vehicle and driver. When you are, it's amazing. It's amazing. You hear these franchise partners going out and just crushing their competition because they are good, or they have a team that's really good at building those relationships and they enjoy it. And then you have these like fast starts. So when we're going through discovery, meaning when somebody's looking at Amada, we have them contact many of our franchise partners, and our franchise partners will tell them, yeah, Marcus is right. That's the business. And here's how I do it. I go and I do these activity, that activity. I do this, I do that. And if the franchise partner starts going, ooh, I would hate to do that, then we know this is not your business. That's okay.
No, I think that's great too, because that's what our business model is built on, matching you to the right business. So if I'm hearing you right, find that person that's out wanting to do a little bit of B2B networking, but it's more of the relationship building side, not a cold calling networking. Build it up, and then you end up with a business model where you have recurring revenue, retention, there's a lot of benefits to senior care. You have to be the right fit. So, Marcos, let's flip it a little bit. We always hear from candidates, they're concerned about sort of liability and other challenges in senior care. Tell them the challenges that you have going into this type of business model.
Yeah. So like any business, you're always going to have challenges, right? Any business comes with a certain challenge. So it's interesting that a lot of folks focus on the liability side. And then we have these conversations with folks going, man, I just don't know because right now, today, we have hundreds of caregivers right now, today, who are in people's homes here in Orange County. Our franchise partner in Colorado Springs does about over $8 million in gross billings a year, right? And that's in our franchise disclosure document. So today he's going to wake up and he's got, again, hundreds of caregivers in people's homes today, right? And what's interesting is when you're in the home, you got to remember you're doing dressing, bathing, walking, grooming, toileting, meal preparation. None of those things I just mentioned are medical. These are not nurses. You're not there doing surgery. You're not there doing therapy. You're not even there doing like wound care or anything slightly medical. You're doing what a babysitter would do. So let's talk about our liability is the same straight up as a babysitting service. Like if you were 16 and used to babysit, you had that same liability. Is it trivial? No, you're still in people's homes. You still have to make sure you have good caregivers. You have to do background checks. You have to go and do surprise visits. You have to keep your quality control high. Absolutely. But our liability is like not even comparable to roofing companies, right? Or like tree cutting companies, which by the way are still phenomenal opportunities. Those two I just mentioned, I freaking love. And they have more liability than we do. So that's one aspect. So what are the challenges? Well, the challenges is if you were to open a factory and you had to you're making like chocolates, right? And you had to kick out like 1 million chocolates a month, you would have issues in how to do that. You'd have like raw materials you got to do. You have like conveyor belts that need to be fixed. You'd have issues. Well, with us is you have to find a bunch of great caregivers. Well, there's challenges to that. We're all people, right? We're not sending robots out. So it's a challenge of finding them, nurturing them, training them, truly loving them in the 1950s sort of way, just supporting them and loving them. Because when you love your caregivers, they're going to love your clients. You're not there caring for them, it's your caregivers. So all the challenges that come with hiring hundreds of people. And you imagine what those are, right? You got to get a bunch of ads out. You got to look through resumes. You got to do interviews. Sometimes people don't show up for interviews. And then you've got to, sometimes you're going to call in sick. They're calling dead. They're going to call in late. They're going to have car troubles. But that is the story with any business that involves people.
Exactly.
And so the franchise partners in any home care company, not just Amada, the ones that become successful are the ones that are willing to go through those challenges and who listen to their franchisor and how to overcome them. And if you do that, you will overcome them and you will have a team of hundreds of people caring for folks. Because you're not the first person to go out there. A lot of people call and they're like, well, what if it can't be done? And you're like, what do you mean, what if it can't be done? I mean, we're doing it right now. Are there challenges? Yes. But let me tell you how we overcome them. Let's meet and talk to our franchise partners about how they do their business. And if you believe that you can overcome those challenges and you're the right person to go through those challenges, great, let's go. We can do this, right? So that's really it's the people hiring business. You're in the people hiring business, and you're in the coaching business. That's what people don't realize. You are in home care, but you're in coaching because those caregivers will value the love and attention and coaching that they receive from you more than the paycheck. Think about that. Caregivers will do what they're doing to make a fortune. They do it to feel valued. And that's who you really are. You're in the hiring and coaching business.
Excellent. This podcast has been awesome.
It's the best one. It's the best one we've ever done.
It is.
It really is.
is.
It's so good.
Now, to wrap up real quick, we've got 2 rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
The first one is this. If you were to give one piece of advice to somebody that's seriously looking at franchises for the first time right now, they're seriously considering it, what would you tell them?
The number one thing is self-awareness. Self-awareness. And if you're in your 20s not being self-aware of like your strengths and your weaknesses is cute. If you're over 30 and you don't know what your strengths are, then stay at your job. Just go freaking work a job, dude. Because you better know what you're good at. And you better know what you're bad at. I am terrible at detail. I suck at detail and spreadsheets, and I forget stuff all the time. And I'm never going to be able to fix that. Much to like I'm sure my wife would love it if I was more detail oriented. It's not going to happen. She probably heard that. It's not going to happen. So as self-awareness allows you to find the right franchise, because as you're looking at franchises, you're going to be able to disqualify the franchises that are not right for you. So just get really self-aware, find out what your strengths and weaknesses are, and then find the business that is going to leverage your strengths. Because your weaknesses in any business you start are going to be augmented, right? Because I don't care what business you start, even if it does value your strengths, your weaknesses are going to be a challenge, but you're going to be able to get people to fill in those challenges, right? Yeah, it's just know who you are, and don't be an idiot about a business that your weakness is what it takes to build that business. You're like, but I think this time I'll be detail oriented. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're still going to suck at it.
Yeah. Great advice.
Yeah.
So what would you say to somebody who's bought a franchise? They're in their first year. Maybe they're about to face all those trials and tribulations of the first year, or maybe they're in the thick of it. What would you tell them?
Yeah, you just keep pushing. Hopefully you haven't run out of money, right? That's the problem, is when people don't budget correctly and they get into a franchise and they run out of cash and they can't get more cash, then you're screwed. You're done, right? But if you have the capital and you budgeted it right, and you shouldn't be in that situation, and go and buy The Dip, right? The book, The Dip. It's a tiny little book that talks about how most entrepreneurs, they go like this, and then they quit here. Okay, I don't know if you can see my hand, right? Like if somebody's just listening to it, like a curve, right? You go down, down, down. You're in the pits of despair. Everything sucks. You're mad. You're angry. You're angry at everybody. Franchisor sucks. This sucks. And you quit here. That's when, and there's all this research talking about how that's where people quit. It's so sad, right? It's right around the corner. Right around the corner is where success is. And we see it all the time. We get the phone call. Man, this sucks. Maybe I had to make the right decision. But you just got to keep going.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Buy the book, The Dip. Great book.
I'm going to put that on my list. Definitely. Marcos, this has been fun. I knew it would be. I started out that way and I thought it would be a good call. And I think one of the things I like the best is we hear from people all the time, oh, we'd really like to help seniors. But I think you really hit on it. It has to be the ideal candidate. It's not right for everybody. And you use that car analogy, which I think was really great. But I think what I learned about Amada today is a strategy piece of it. You have to have that love and caring for somebody over 65, but it's also about helping someone figure out where's money coming from to pay for it. You need the care. How do you find that? And you guys are really diving into that, and that's what makes you different. So I've learned a lot. I know our listeners are going to learn a lot from this when they hear it. So for those of you considering franchising, remember there's no one size fits all. However, there's certainly perfect franchise out there for you. To explore your options, visit theperfectfranchise.com by clicking on Let's Talk to schedule a call with one of our franchise consultants. We look forward to talking with you on the next episode. Thanks.